Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to MarketStream.live, everybody. My name is Joseph Cusick with the Cusick Group, securities offered by MoneyBlock. This is where we're going to talk about what's hot on the open here in the U.S. markets. And, there's quite a bit going on today with the earnings cycle, both here in the United States and globally, kicking in. We have economic data. We have always geopolitical situations. The market has plenty going on, and let's jump in and take a look. Right now, you got the Dow Jones Industrial trading up 13 at 21,009. So you get around that rounded number, right? We were talking about that yesterday. 6,000 on the NASDAQ Composite, 21,000 on the Dow Jones Industrial. Really, all you need is the S&P 500 at 2,400, and you've really rounded out the large caps. But with that being said, really all eyes are on Washington today because the tax plan that the Trump administration has said they were going to unveil this afternoon. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin came out and he revealed some of the components of it. First of all, as people were expecting, they were going to announce that they want to have a 15% corporate tax rate. That's down from 35%, so a significant drop for corporations. They're also saying that multinationals that repatriate or bring back their profits to the United States, those will be taxed at 10%. Again, a drop from the 35%, so pretty significant. I really like the idea of Build America bonds, but we'll see what they'll figure out. Now, this still has to get through Capitol Hill, but it is a baseline. It is a start. There is going to be concerns about the fact that now that we have all this lost revenue on the corporate tax side, where is it going to be made up? Well, they thought that that could be part of a border adjustment tax. Well, Mnuchin said no, there is not going to be a proposed border adjustment tax. So there's going to be a lot of debate around these tax components, and we're going to hear much more this afternoon. That has the market still in the green, but a little bit muted comparative to the previous openings that we've seen over the last two sessions. So it's grinding here at the top on the Dow Jones. Taking a look at the S&P 500, again, we're seeing that it's up 2.5 points at 2,391.20. Very muted right now. We're going to see the action going on from Capitol Hill. We're also going to watch earnings. As a matter of fact, we had two earnings names that I want to bring up before I touch on the NASDAQ, and that's Boeing. Boeing came out. They missed on earnings. Stocks down $2 at $1.50. Down $1.76 at 181.75. You also have Procter & Gamble. Now, these are two blue chip stocks that are not only represented in the S&P 500, but the Dow Jones. Let's see if that starts to put pressure on the Dow. Down 49 cents. Again, they missed on revenues and their top lines. And so the market's kind of taking it out on these two stocks right now. Where we did see some positive earnings this morning was United Technologies. Continue to watch this one, especially since we have not really seen what the defense spending is going to be looking like. They want to get tax reform done first. United Technologies is up 73 cents after some very solid earnings, trading up at 117.72. And you can see it's been quite an impressive run after it bounced off of and was basically in this consolidation. And again, folks, this is that area. It held its 50-day moving average for the last basically couple of months. And it challenged but never broke convincingly. And that gave bulls promise, right? And it basically allowed you to start looking at strategies that you could deploy in United Technologies. Earnings came out. It had been moving to the upside previously to that, and so you can see that the move is warranted with better than expected earnings. Now, taking a look at the NASDAQ, though, the NASDAQ has been the best performing index so far in 2017. You see that the NASDAQ, the composite, which is the larger, this is the NASDAQ 100 that I'm looking at, but if you look at the composite, that went over 6,000 for the first time, all-time highs. That's really being driven by three main stocks: Facebook, Apple, and Google, as well as Amazon. And these are stocks that if you have four major stocks that are driving a major composite index, you kind of have to take pause. So with that being said, it's still positive. You'd rather have more of a group effort than just by the big behemoths. But with that being said, NASDAQ's up 13 points at 55.61 on the NASDAQ 100. Still moving to the upside. You see the conviction above its 20 and 50-day moving average. So clearly the leadership there for the bulls. The Russell 2000. This is the one that I watch, especially as we get closer to the domestic policies as far as tax reform, healthcare, and infrastructure plays. Those are going to be the components that are going to drive this small cap index. These are domestically centric stocks, and right now it's grinding. It's basically flat to slightly up. You could see it's waffling at 14.11, basically up 2 cents. With that being said, watch this one very closely as we get into this afternoon. Volatility up 38 cents. It's bouncing off of its worst levels yesterday, and it's trading on its highs this morning. Let's see if we get a little vol now that the earnings season is starting to kick in. We're going to see. We have a spending bill that has to get through before the end of this week. It sounds like it's going to get done. But again, a lot of negotiation, especially since we have this tax reform component coming out from the president that will go to Capitol Hill. The dollar firmed up. The dollar firming up has given relief to global currencies. Global currencies have been falling off. That has helped multinationals in Japan, helped France, Germany, England, basically anywhere, China, where you could see that they have exporting components, especially to the United States. This stronger dollar comparative to the weaker global currencies has helped. Where it hasn't helped, though, is commodities, and specifically crude oil. Now, we saw the API report come out last night. There was actually a build of 900,000 barrels. That was bearish. What's also, so now what we want to do is watch the EIA report that's going to be out at 10:30 Eastern time. That's the report that I watched that really takes a look at Cushing and what's being held as far as stocks in the West Texas contract, which is what we use here in the United States. If we see a build there, and there was an expectation of a potential draw of 1.3 million barrels, you see a build here, that could be a catalyst. Right now, as we said, we're at the 200-day moving average at right around $49 for crude. A break below 49, you could start seeing $46 in crude, maybe even 44 very quickly. And we want to keep an eye on that because that's really the next support level, that $47 to $46 level. Then you really don't have support until you start getting into the $44 level down here. And that's where the challenge could come in for crude. I think there's a lot of expectation, especially if we start to see that there is some turmoil on Capitol Hill today, tomorrow, remainder of this week, and we have not only a mixed EIA report, but we also have some mixed reports coming out on the earnings side. Brent, though, is holding up. The Middle East contract, primarily pumped out of the Middle East, is holding up. You're seeing bonds. Short end of the curve is starting to hold up a little bit as far as price action, but you still see that muted action in the 10-year and the 30-year. Watch the yields on the 30-year. Any dip below 2.3% on the 10-year, on the 10-year, is going to be a potential red flag for the bond bears. And it could be a red flag for the markets. That means that maybe there's some uncertainty, and that could move in advance of any kind of move as far as volatility is concerned. All right, folks, that is it for What's Hot on the Open. I know we've covered a ton. We have a ton more to cover today. I'm going to go over some really cool strategies that you could start implementing. We talked a little bit about bonds and how to use a specific strategy to add some bond portfolio exposure without adding huge capital risk. It could be a nice little hedge going into this somewhat potentially volatile session that we're having, potentially going forward for the next couple of weeks. Also, we'll be talking about some names that you're going to want to keep an eye on. So join us for Strategy Now at 1:30 Eastern, 12:30 Central Time here on MarketStream.live. See you then.